Thank you, Mr. McDonell. And now Mr. Davies, please.
Deputy Commissioner Souccar and Commander McDonell, I want to start by thanking both of you on behalf of all Canadians for the courage and the integrity that you have shown throughout. I think what is crystal clear is that your actions in speaking out and your on behalf of the force that you clearly have devoted so much of your careers to and care so much about, I think really is starting to help restore Canadians' confidence back in the RCMP where Canadians want it to be. I want to start with Deputy Commissioner Souccar. You said in your testimony that you described Mr. Elliott's behaviour as long-standing. You said so many people complained about Mr. Elliott's disrespectful behaviour, and you described morale as sinking to an all-time low. My first question is when did the Minister of Public Safety become aware of these factors to your knowledge?
Well, maybe I just want to thank you for your initial comments. The RCMP is extremely important to me. I have a son who's a member of the RCMP. My wife is employed by the RCMP. That's the only job I really ever had. And I care deeply for the RCMP as I know Mike does. This whole affair has been extremely difficult on me, has been extremely difficult on my wife, and has been hugely difficult on my son as a police officer in the RCMP. And so this wasn't done lightly, wasn't taken lightly, and was very difficult to stand up. But courage of convictions has to prevail at the end of the day. In terms of your question as to when the minister would have become aware of this, I never spoke to the Minister of Public Safety on this matter. The people I spoke to were Patricia Hazzard at the Privy Council office, Marie-Lucie Morin, who was the National Security Advisor, and Deputy Minister Bill Baker at Public Safety. And when, sir, did you notify the Privy Council office of these concerns, to the best of your knowledge? I have the exact dates. I can dig them up, but I would say in the first week of July. Of 2010? Of 2010. That's when I would have received a call from Patricia Hazzard. I was on vacation at the time. I was on holidays. In fact, just about to go to brunch with my wife. And I was waiting at the front porch, and my phone went off, and it was PCO. It was Patricia Hazzard. She wanted to speak to me about that. She told me her dad was ill, and she would have to leave to go to London. But Marie-Lucie Morin, who's a National Security Advisor, wanted to speak with me. I said I'd be available, and within an hour, while at brunch, I received a call from Marie-Lucie Morin. And that's the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister? Yes. Thank you. And I want to move on, if I could. I have a few questions. Now, Commander McDonell, in last October, you wrote to Minister Davies saying that those who came forward to voice their concerns, and your quote was, have simply become sacrificial lambs, end quote. Deputy Commissioner Souccar, I think you've testified quite frankly today of you've implied that it's very difficult to speak up in the force when you have a difference of opinion. And Carleton University professor Linda Duxbury, who studies the culture of the RCMP, has said, quote, you're not going to get successful change if the people doing the work don't feel comfortable speaking up, end quote. To this day, are you aware whether the Minister of Public Safety has issued any directive or position to the members of the force to reassure officers of their ability to voice their concerns? Are you aware of any memo of that effect or any direction from the Minister of Public Safety? Not to my knowledge. Mike? Commander McDonell? No longer a member of the RCMP, so I can't answer that question. Sure. Now, there was a workplace assessment done by former CSIS Director Reid Morden, and he found, among other things, that, quote, the slow pace of reforms, end quote, frustrated some Mounties, and I think you both already touched on that. We know that the labour relations reform that is necessitated by the Ontario Supreme Court decision in McDonell, no relation I take it,
in June 2010. It was introduced by this government in June 2010. The Civilian Oversight of Complaints Against the Police, Bill C-38, was introduced in June 2010, and there's been no movement on this government since then as those two bills languish on the order paper. I wonder if you could comment on how important you think it is to start uplifting the morale of the force that those two pieces of legislation be brought forward and passed.
Well, I think it's important in times of change, and the RCMP certainly is in times of change, and change has to be a constant. As soon as you stop changing, you're stagnating. You need to always look to improve the organization. In terms of these two items, I think the labor relation is an important one. We have a staff relation representative program. We have the association, and I think at some point we'll need to move forward. I'm not the best person to speak on that topic. Our deputy in human resources would probably be best versed to speak on those issues. But certainly when you have an organization in need of change, the pace of change has to speed up. And that was one of the issues that was raised. The pace of change has been very slow.
Mm-hmm. Commander McDonell, you have a quote where you said that endemic level of sycophantism that is occurring amongst the Commissioner's senior management team, end quote, is how you described it. And I'm just wondering how important it is in both of your views that there be a process of promoting from within that I suppose does not rely on sycophantism but would be more of a merit-based process. How important is getting a hold of that issue to the success of the next RCMP Commissioner, in your views?
Mr. Davies, Mr. McDonell.
I've always thought, as a leader, that it was good to surround yourself with people that did not think like myself or had different experience, so that the decisions at the end of the day were well informed and looked at from different views. And I always enjoyed a good challenge. I found that the challenge process was muted with my experience on the senior management team.
I'm sorry, you said was muted?
Yes.
If I may simply add to this, yes, I will. I think the ability to speak truth to power and the environment that must be created in order to speak truth to power is essential. Secondly, as Mike said, and I maybe just elaborate on it a bit, if a commissioner, if a leader in any organization is not willing to listen to different points of views than his or her own, then they don't need anybody around them. And as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate a challenge. I appreciate a different point. At the end of the day, the leader will make the decision. That's a given. But you're best equipped if you've been given various options, hopefully ones that you have not thought of, ones that are different than your mindset, so that at the end of the day, you as a leader can then make the ultimate decision, knowing that you've explored all the options. To not have that, you don't need anybody else around you.
Thank you, Mr. Souccar. We'll now